thoughts and ideas. And sometimes we might just start with, well, this one time won't hurt. If I listen to this, or if I just pay attention to this a little bit, it was not harmful. But it really is harmful, because it can be a seed that gets in you, and then kind of becomes more junk, and then the junk multiplies inside of you. So that's what we're talking about today, is really being careful in choosing what we hear. You see, it matters what you put into your heart, your mind, and your soul. I heard somebody say just the other day, we have one soul, and we've got to take care of it, right? And so all these things that we either allow in or kind of come into our lives, we have to be really careful and make sure we tend to all of that, our heart, our mind, and soul. Now in Matthew, I think it's chapter 6 here, verse 22, and it even lets us know that. It says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. And so that idea that they're talking about, it starts here, right here with our eyes. What do we let in? What do we see? What do we let become part of our body and our lives? It's very important. We need to let in the light. That's why I asked Dustin to play that song a little bit ago, to be in the light, to let that light in. Sometimes I think we even struggle with that, and I've even seen it with it where people, they're really excited, they want to get involved in a church, but something is holding them back. Something is just there saying, they want to, but it's not happening. And there's a little internal struggle going on there, and that's real, folks. It is, right? It's real. There's forces out there that don't want us to know God's love, that want to make sure that we're negative and nasty and mean. But God says, no, my way is stronger and my way is better. So to let the light in. You see, Jesus sees your heart, He knows your heart, and Jesus cares about your heart. That's one thing that we can't do. We can't see each other's hearts. We don't know exactly what's going on there, but Jesus does. So sometimes we might be looking at people and kind of judging by outward appearances or their actions and stuff like that. Ultimately, we don't know about their heart. And when everything comes to an end, we get up there to heaven, Jesus knows our heart. And He's going to know what's going on. So we've got to protect our heart and our soul and make sure good things are coming into it. Now, the cool thing about Jesus is you look through all of His stories and all of His readings in the Bible, He always stopped to talk to people. That would be a nice thing. Did you ever have to just say, oh, I'm sorry, I just can't talk right now because we're rushing? I've had to do that, I'm sorry. Let me catch you tomorrow or something like that. And you don't feel good about saying that, but when we look at what Jesus did, He always stopped and talked. He doesn't just keep on walking. And so we have to know that we got to stop sometimes and listen to Jesus, because He's going to stop for us. So Matthew 5:1 here, this is called the Sermon on the Mount. It's kind of the whole thing that kicks off with it. But it says, now Jesus, when Jesus saw the crowds, He went up on the mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to Him, and then He began to teach them. So it's pretty cool that just Jesus being there, and He sees literally thousands of people, hear that He's there and talking. And so He stops what He's doing. Wherever He was going, whatever He was doing, He stopped and He sat down and He talked to them. I hope to make a trip over there somewhere and see some of these places where He talked to them, because I'm pretty sure they didn't have microphones and amplifiers and speakers. So how did thousands of people hear Him speak? It had to be amazing, or just the nature of the whole thing that He saw was just incredible. So, but the point is, Jesus stops and He talks to people, right? You see, what we open our hearts to can determine whether we live a life filled with light or filled with darkness. Is Mason up here? He's not, right? Is he downstairs? Good, okay. Let's talk about Mason, my son. A couple years ago, he was with some friends, and all the friends wanted to go to a very scary movie. I had seen the teaser, the trailer, and that was alone enough to keep me awake for a couple of nights, let alone sit through the whole movie. But we just haven't watched scary movies in our house. We're more like Dumb and Dumber and stuff like that, Those intellectual movies that really beat us on our level. But and we're like, oh, Mason, are you sure you want to go to that? That's yeah, we find that it won't matter. But I'm pretty sure he went there, and maybe he put in his earbuds in and closed his eyes through the whole movie? I'm not sure, but he knew that was not what he wanted in his life. And he knew that just something, that was not light, that was, darkness, and it was something that just didn't sit right with him. So it's kind of cool to see, when you see your kids kind of make those decisions and kind of understand exactly what is important to them. So my question, though, brings us to is, what are you stopping for to fill your heart with? Are you stopping for Jesus to let him talk? Are you cracking open the Bible and reading through it? Are you stopping to pray? Or is it the money thing that's stopping you in your tracks? Or is it time? Is it something at work? Is it being involved in everything? Is that what's catching your attention? What's filling your heart? What's filling your soul? And is it good for you? There's a lot of stuff out there, but is it good for you? And sometimes you might just find yourself in not feeling like yourself. Boy, this isn't me. This just isn't me. I don't feel good. I'm not acting like what I normally do. Sometimes you just need a new playlist. You've been hammered by too much stuff from the outside, too much negativity, too much bitterness, too much anger. I don't know what it is, but sometimes it's time to say, I need a new playlist. Now these Snickers commercials, have you seen those? It kind of remind me, sometimes you get a little cranky, a little angry, whatever they call it, and the Snickers will take care of it all. Kind of like a new playlist. So take a look at this one with Robin Williams in it.
Fourth down, Coach. What do we do?
I'll tell you what we do.
I want you to go on the field, look for anything with an O.
Let's kill him with kindness. Jimmy, I want you to make balloon animals. Tyler, make little tea cozy, something fun. Are you okay? We will win this for Mother Russia!
Eat a Snickers.
Where's that you? You get a little loopy when you're hungry.
Better. Go.
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
It just might be time. You want a Snickers now, don't you? Right? You should have brought those in with us. It might just be time for a new playlist because you're just not yourself. You see, if we want to hear a new playlist from Jesus, then we need to stop and listen to what Jesus says. Something that has kind of come about in the last 5-10 years here is this idea of FOMO. Say that word. FOMO. It means fear of missing out. So what happens with social media is we go through all these feeds and we're constantly barraged with updates and who's doing what and this and that. And then we start thinking, oh, if they have a nice car, I don't. I wish I had a nice car. Oh, look, they're at that party. I wasn't invited to that party. I wish I was invited to that party. Oh, they're on the beach. I wish I was on the beach. It's a fear of missing out. You might even call us FOMO sapiens now. I found this graphic. It just hit it. Look at the guy at the end. He's got 4 arms going every which way. He's on a scooty chair. But it's this idea that we're missing out on everything. And it kind of shapes who we are. That's what's coming into us. You see, we're constantly fed a playlist from society and culture, and we may not like what's played. And it's okay, friends. You don't have to like it. And you can change it. You can choose what you hear. You can choose what your family hears. You can choose to help your friends make decisions about what's good for them. You can choose what you hear in your playlist. So check out this little bit of research here I came across. The new Nielsen Company audience report reveals that adults in the United States devoted about 10.5 hours each day to consuming media. Holy moly. Who was surprised by that number? Yeah? Yeah, me too. So I'm thinking 10 hours on media, 8 hours working, that leaves 6 hours for sleep. Is that right? Is my math right? That's a lot. Doesn't that sound like a lot to you? And we wonder why we're struggling with mental health. That's true, right? We have so much coming in. 10.5 hours a day. Boom, boom, boom. And our minds are constantly filled. Yes, no, yes, no. Look at this. 1 in 4 Americans go online almost constantly. Almost constantly. We have a strong addiction to it, don't we? To the mobile, to the information, to the media that we can't put down. Roughly 3/4 of Americans go online at least daily. So it's no wonder, right? I understand that when it happened. I'll tell you though, it's something good. I see a bright spot. Up here at high school this year, we went to a no cell phone policy. And honestly, I think the kids are kind of relieved. That's the sense I get. I don't know, some others might tell you differently, but in the first 3-4 weeks we've had here, I haven't had any of my students say, can I get my phone back? Can I do this? Can I do this? So I think it was kind of one of those deals where we help them say, all right, jump out, right? You know, so I just wanted to share that with you. I think they really do appreciate it with that. So, and you know, our anxiety ramps up when our playlist becomes overwhelming. You know, we get so much in our head, so much going on in our life, all of a sudden we find ourselves just overwhelmed. And it's okay. I'm telling you now, I'm giving you permission. It's okay to create a new playlist. It's okay to say no to stuff. It's okay to say, no thank you, I'm done. It's okay to say, not interested right now. Or, I don't need that, no thank you. I'm okay with that. So one of Jesus' main combatants throughout the Bible is a group of people called the Pharisees. Now the Pharisees really weren't bad people, but they were rule followers. And they also like to make sure other people follow the rules, and that's where Jesus and them kind of grinded an axe together, right? The Pharisees were following 613 rules. Most of those rules were started with do not, all right? So kind of a negative do not, and then some were like do this. And so what happened was when Jesus and the Pharisees got together, Jesus brought this whole new idea of how to live life that didn't require 613 rules. So Matthew 22, we catch up with them here on this little story. One of them, so this would be that Pharisee, was an expert in the law, tested Jesus with this question: which is the greatest commandment in the law? And Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So he just went from 613 rules to 2. Hang it right there. Those are the 2 you're going to hang on. Love God, love people. Right? That's what it comes down to. Jesus introduced a new playlist called Love God, Love People. And that's what we do here at New Way. Do everything we can just to love God, love people, and make sure people get into a caring, loving relationship with God. So as we look at a couple playlists that Jesus, laid out for people, we have the old and we have the new. So check out this old one here. The old playlist is you have to do everything. Do you ever feel like that, friends? You just have to do everything. That was the old playlist. You need a new one. The new playlist says you can do 2 things. You can love God, you can love people. That's right from JC himself. That's what you want, right? Right from Jesus. Love God, love people. And I was even talking with a friend, and he was overwhelmed this week, absolutely overwhelmed, and he had a big day, and he had so much going on. I said, you know what? It's time to just drain your brain for a day. Drain your brain. Do you ever stay up at night and your mind is just racing? Who's with me on that? And you can't get out of it. It's time to stop. Time to just calm yourself down, drain your brain, and focus on the thing you need to focus on. He had a very big, important interview. I said, you just got to focus on that. Your friends, your family, everyone's going to be waiting. Everything's going to be just fine. But for that one day, you just need to drain it and stick with what you need to do. You don't have to do everything. The old playlist says you have to say yes to everything. Yes. The new playlist says, you know what, saying no could be your best yes. Friends, there is a ton of stuff that we can do with our family, with our friends, with our co-workers, but we've got to draw a line somewhere. We've got to have healthy boundaries when it comes to that, don't we? We've got to make sure we're rested. We're going to make sure we're together, we're strong as a family and our kids. And sometimes saying no, even if it's something you're really excited about, it's going to come along again. Or if you really like it, maybe just put it on the back burner, wait a couple months, and then we're going to do it again, And you do that. So kind of think that, what is it, if you feel like the old playlist has got your life just running, really fast, take a look at that. Maybe there's some songs that you can slide off the playlist, because saying no sometimes is your best yes. The old playlist says you have to be everywhere. You have to be connected. You have to be doing this. You have to stop and do this and run here and do this and make sure you connect with them and send them an update. And you know what? This is going to blow your mind. Are you ready for this one? The new playlist says you can only be at one place. Mind blown, right? We can only be at one place. Remember that. Slow down and enjoy the moment. Wherever you're at, be there. Be out there. And sometimes that is saying, hey, I'm just going to put my phone in silent mode and set it to the side. Make sure you're talking with people. Make sure you're excited to listen to people and just to be in the moment. That's kind of our principle. We got a new principle this year. And that's kind of his thing. It says, you know what? Be in the moment. Be right there, right now. Don't be off on Facebook land or off on Twitter land or following this Snapchat or this notification. Look what they're doing. No, just enjoy the moment and be where you are. You know, back in February, we had a workshop about raising resilient kids. And even all the adults we had in class too. And one day we said, you know what, the best thing we can do is just turn off our notifications on our phone. Because several people had so many notifications and they just felt like, I got to answer that. I got to look at that right now and respond. And we don't. We don't have to answer that fast. And a couple of them came back the next week. All I did was turn off a couple of notifications and I felt so much better. And then you don't have that pull on you of answering this or that. It was just so much better. You see, friends, you can choose what you hear. And maybe you feel like it's time to create a new playlist. The cool thing is you don't have to wait till the end of the month. You don't have to wait till a certain day. You can create a new playlist right now. And you can just start with that. Because God has things that are great for your life, and He wants that in your playlist. And if you feel like there's something in the way, get rid of it. Push it out and create that new playlist. God wants the best for you. And if you feel like your life isn't quite as strong as it is, or isn't what God wants for you, go ahead, let's make that change. It's time to do it. All right, let's have a word of prayer. God, just thank you so much for bringing this together. Sometimes, God, life gets a little bit overwhelming. And that's okay. You know, sometimes things just work out that way. But God, help us to know that we do have some control over this. That we can say, okay, not today, not for this week, not for this month. I'm creating a new playlist. A playlist that's going to be healthy for me, for my family, for my friends, so that we can enjoy the life that you have laid out for us. And God, that might take a little adjusting for us to get used to. But we know you'll help us through it. It just might be something new for us to look at. But God, you know what? I don't have that opportunity this week. We know that you're going to lead us and guide us and teach us in your will, teach us in your wonderful way of life and how you bless us. Thank you for New Way, what you're always doing in our community and our friends, and how you're working through all of us. God, continue to do that. As we leave from here tonight, be with all of us, keep us safe. Thank you for the rain. Thank you for a brown sky. God, we are just excited for what you're doing here and in our lives. We lift all this up to you in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Amen.